Hi there, Vanessa here. Dating Don'ts Part 2. If you want to know what not to do on a date, press the subscribe button on my YouTube channel. You can find out. Okay, this is counterintuitive advice, but it's good advice anyway. Don't be your true self. If you watch a ton of reality TV, you know that people always say, I was myself in there. I was true to myself in there. I was myself. On a first date particularly, and maybe the first few dates, don't be too authentically yourself. You do not have to tell this total stranger about your hemorrhoids. You do not have to tell this total stranger that you had a big panic attack in the car on the way there. You do not have to tell this total stranger that you've had a string of 18 failed relationships and very probably it's because you're frigid. You don't have to tell this stranger about your checkered relationship with your mum or your dad, your ex, your neighbor, your kids, your dog. You don't have to lay your whole self on the line. So you won't hear this from most experts, but you will hear this from me. Be a bit less yourself. Do not be your whole self on the first date or even the second, maybe the third or fourth. Just drip feed your real self in gradually. Instead, what should you be? You should be a glorified version of yourself, a light-hearted version of yourself. So even if you have some deep-rooted worries, financial worries, health worries, all kinds of worries about why you're even on the blinking dating scene, you didn't think you'd be single at this age, you hope to be loved up and living happily ever after, so you're beset with doubt and anxiety and worry like everyone else, like me, like everyone we know. Everybody's nervous, everybody's anxious, but this is not the time to get that bit of yourself out. Keep that to yourself. Hold a few things back, especially the nerves, the worry, the anxiety, the depression, the financial problems, the feeling that you still can't believe that your mother is dead. Keep that to yourself. Don't just lay all that on the table. That's called your baggage. Put it to the side at the beginning of what might turn out to be a relationship. Because you've got to remember this person having a drink with you or seated opposite you or going for a walk with you or whatever it is you've decided to do doesn't know you. They don't know you at all. So if you start laying on them the whole burden of your life's tragedies and difficulties and struggles and conflicts and problems, they don't even know you. They've got enough with their own lives. You don't think they've got problems and troubles of their own? They're trying to deal with their own problems. They don't need yours shoveled all over them so that they have to negotiate some way out of your problems. Certainly not at the very beginning. What you need is for them to like you and be intrigued by you and be entertained by you and ideally be sexually attracted to you and to like your smell and like your smile and like the way you listen to what they're saying and just like your jokes. If you're good at telling jokes, if you're not good, don't tell any jokes. If you're a bad joke teller, do not get started on telling jokes. But they're meant to get to like you. And only when they like you do they care about your terrible relationships, your failed business, your nervous breakdown. At the beginning, they don't even know you, so they don't care. So don't tell them. Don't tell them all that stuff. Do not feel that you must be completely authentic and genuine and your whole self. Absolutely not. Be much less yourself. Be much more in the moment. Be social and sociable in a light-hearted way. If you can't think of anything light-hearted to say, you've got two options. One, ask a friend or colleague. Say, mate, I get very serious. I am quite serious. Can you think of something I could talk about that's light-hearted? Get a few tips, get a few hints. Just look at the newspaper or magazine, listen to a radio show, watch TV, do something, go for a walk. Talk about what you saw, what you experienced in a light-hearted, fairly inconsequential kind of way. Don't get too passionate about it. Just be entertaining. Just be kind of like, God, did you know something, not something deadly boring, but just something that you've noticed or thought about. That kind of a thing. So number one, if you don't know what to talk about that's lighthearted, ask someone. And number two, if you still don't know what to talk about that's lighthearted, don't say much. Listen. Ask a few key questions, not deeply probing and very, very personal, but just light-hearted type questions. You know, where have you been your happiest? Where's your dream place that you'd love to visit? Who's your dream person that you'd love to have dinner with? What's the greatest book you've never read? What's the best music that you think sums up your teenage life? Just something that people can get into without feeling that they are being personally interrogated, because you don't want to subject them to a kind of tick box interrogation. I went on a date. What day is it today? Okay, I'm speaking to you on Monday. So I went on a date 4 nights ago, right? And on that date, I got into this guy's car. He was an introduction, so I knew that he wasn't going to chop me up and put me in a pie. I wouldn't necessarily recommend getting in a stranger's car, but this guy was a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, so that was okay. Got in the car, and between my house and the restaurant, which was about a 6-minute journey, he had asked me all about my ex-husband, my divorce, the financial settlement, my children, can I cook, how religious am I? How observant am I? What do I think about being in the public eye? Do I like it? Am I attracted to it? I felt as if I was absolutely being choked on the avalanche of questions. And I felt as if I was being submitted to a sort of grand inquisition. I absolutely hated it. And I really wanted to say, look, I don't know you, mate. I don't want to tell you. I'm not telling you. Why do you want to know? Why are you asking all these very personal things? I didn't really like it. So yes, do ask people questions, but make them fairly general, lighthearted, with the aim that the answer might be something that will make you laugh, something that will intrigue you, something that will mildly interest you, something that will pique your curiosity in a fun kind of way. Because I think a first date, a second date, possibly all the way into halfway through a third date is all about keeping it light, keeping it fun, seeing if you've got a spark. Is there any chemistry? Could you imagine going to bed with this person? Once in bed with them, could you imagine them taking off their wincey pajamas? Would you like to see what they've got underneath their pajamas? Maybe you don't wear pajamas. They would just spring into bed completely naked. Could you imagine that? Would that be a good thing? Or would that be an absolutely repellent and ghastly vista that you just think, I could not? Could you put your tongue in their ear? Just start with the ear. You don't have to go to any other orifice straight away. Just think of their ear. You can probably see the ear at the pub or at the restaurant or the cafe. Could you imagine sticking your tongue in it? And if they were to approach you and stick their tongue in your ear, could you imagine thinking it was a really great kind of mixed feeling of a slightly erotic nature? Or could you imagine just puking right there? I think start with the tongue in the ear thing. Imagine it. Don't do it unless you really are overcome with an absolutely insatiable desire for them. Don't immediately do it, but think about it. Could you stick your tongue in their ear? And how would you feel if they did that to you? I always think that is a very good starting point, springboard of thought to see whether this relationship potentially has legs. I think it's very difficult to find a venue for a first date because do you really want to sit right through a meal with somebody you can't stand? No. But you may be hungry after work. You may not want to just have a drink. You may start getting drunk immediately and have a really horrible time standing in an uncomfortable pub or bar where you can't relax. It's very noisy. You can't quite hear what they're saying. The music's not congenial. It's too congenial. You end up, I don't know, getting completely drunk and falling flat on your face. So I'm not sure about the just go to the pub or a bar for a drink. I'm not sure about the sit right through a meal. I'm also not sure about something in the middle of the day or in the afternoon, like a coffee, a bagel, a piece of Danish or something like that. Because very often, you're not looking your best in the middle of the day. You're not feeling your best. You haven't got that nighttime lighting, your nighttime makeup, spraying your perfume all over everywhere you want to be kissed, that build up, that getting ready thing. You haven't got any of that in the middle of the day. You're just rushing in your kind of work clothes. I don't know about that either, really. You see, I think a walk is quite a good idea because at least when you're walking, you don't have to keep looking at them the whole time. You're just pressing on and pressing on. And if you're walking, you've got something else to focus on, something else to talk about, the dogs, the people, the view, the smell, the traffic, whatever, wherever it is you're walking. And then it feels natural afterwards, if you do like each other, to walk into a cafe and get a coffee or walk into a bar and have a cocktail. But it feels equally natural if you're not really getting on to carry on walking and just go home or go to your car or public transport and get out of there. So I think a walk can be good. A walk can be very, very good. That would be my first tip. Thank you so much for watching my dating don'ts. You may not agree with me. You may have had even worse experiences than I've had. Just go to my YouTube channel, press the subscribe button, and tell me all about your worst dating experiences. We'd love to compile a list, maybe even make a book of dating don'ts. So make sure you do leave me yours.